this guy up to? Oh no, I'm Derek, filming for Independence Live. Oh, nice. You know what, actually, every time I'm filming, as I walk past like this line here, I lose, the feet goes down. I can't, and I try and film up that end. I'm back again. Right, yeah. I mean, I've filmed many events in the square, but none have had so much barrier. Cautious. Probably. Oh, we have, we're back online again. Tight-lipped. Let's see. If I can get my drinking tube out of the backpack here. So I get good reception in the car. Here. Oh, sorry, we're back again. There's some of the lads from Unison and stuff, or the Socialists. North is back again. Honestly, I don't know what it is, but the signal drops, the broadcast finishes, but I'm struggling for some reason to actually get live feeds here. It drops away and comes back again. Here's a nice protest. There's people pile into the square from everywhere. Independence Live here. So who's this? Lots of familiar faces.
Can we have a massive shout out to Siobhan? Thank you so much. That was phenomenal. It's so amazing to see trade union banners all over George Square. Fantastic.
Okay, the feed's behaving itself so far.
Please ask you to move to the side slightly. Just so that it doesn't stop people from seeing the stage. That would be absolutely brilliant. Thank you so much. And if you can move a little bit further forward.
We're back into the thick of it now.
Thank you.
Now the feed.
Anti-racist campaigner and activist who stand up to racism.
Well, I was literally.
Be comparing this afternoon with my brilliant friend.
I was literally into the
who's an anti-racist
square there. I was literally just stepping onto the square there to take an interview with someone.
Refugee Council, one of the many outstanding refugee organisations supporting the rally today. Glasgow is a city built upon the blood, sweat and tears of immigrants and refugees. Sabir Zazai is one of those examples. He arrived on the back of a lorry from Afghanistan, and he was recently awarded an OBE for his work for refugee rights. Would you please welcome Sabir Zazai? Thank you.
Thank you, Zam. Thanks, everyone. Friends, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, it's great to see so many of you here today. We gather in this square to stand against the divisions, injustices, hatred that racism brings to our communities. Each of us here today have our own story and reasons why we are here, and together our voices are stronger and powerful. Racism is a cancer. It affects all parts of our society, and it is our collective shared responsibility to eliminate it and fight against it. We have a shared duty to educate, to promote equalities, and stand against discrimination wherever we see it. At Scottish Refugee Council, we're no stranger to messages of hatred from the far right, but the love, compassion and solidarity of the people of Scotland is greater than the minority that see hope in racism, xenophobia and Islamophobia. For too long, people seeking asylum and people of colour are scapegoated, particularly by the previous UK government, and targeted in the media. For too long, there is a huge amount of misinformation about people seeking asylum. A small number of people fleeing dreadful conflicts, often of our own making, isn't the only problem facing the UK. The biggest problem facing the UK isn't refugees, my friends. The problem is racism, racist politicians, racist media, and racist asylum policies that divide our communities. For the first time, those of us from refugee backgrounds and established black and ethnic minority communities feel very anxious and very unwelcome in our own home and communities and workplaces. My own family asks me whether we are safe in this country. They didn't feel safe to come to the square with me today. My message to the racists is that this is as much as my home as it is anyone else's home. We will never give way to your hatred, fear and divisions. This is a country built on the back of migration. This is a country of refugees. And Glasgow is the city of St Munga, a refugee from the Highlands. Pro-refugee gatherings we've had over the years. Refugees have given more to these islands than your ugly racism, your Scottish values. And my message to the youth, we must reassure communities, scrap discriminatory policies, rebuild and mend divisions by removing long-standing great people in the square is that today we stand united, not just in opposition to racism, but in celebration of our diversity and our cohesion that binds our society together. Together, we can create a world where everyone is treated with dignity and respect they deserve, and we can live peacefully together. Let's continue to fight, to hope, and to believe in a better future for all, no matter what your skin color is, no matter where you've come from, no matter when you arrived here, no matter how you arrived here. We must defeat racism with humble love and a message of hope. Say it loud, say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Thank you.
Thank you so much. That was phenomenal. And we know important anti-racist education is in the struggle for social justice and equality, and challenging the is fantastic. The union in Scotland. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Comrades, the philosopher Ayn Rand, the philosopher Hannah Arendt, defined fascism as the temporary alliance of the mob and the elite. She also coined the phrase "the banality of evil" to describe the way the Nazis went about their horrors. Now, I'm here today to talk a little bit about the mob, but mostly about the elite. But before I do that, I want to say a word or two about how teachers in Scotland are building a society based on the banality of goodness. The banality of goodness is our essential aim as educators, because we have to see fascism as a virus. It's a virus which can adapt, mutate, infect rapidly and globally, and then of course kill in large numbers. Fascism is a virus that is the most important antidote and the most vital program of vaccination a society can. With the values that we hold, and as teachers within Scotland, we are at our core anti-fascists. But colleagues, we have to see that cuts to education are, of course, a they are a dangerous liberation program. In the recent riots throughout, too many of the rioters were school-aged children. It was deeply disturbing to see so many teenage boys on the streets committing that violence. Now, we have not seen that in Scotland up to this point, but colleagues, we cannot be complacent, because teachers in schools across Scotland every day are victims of violence and aggression, often misogynistic in its nature, and of course 80% of Scotland's teachers are women. We are suffering that daily in our classrooms and in the corridors of our schools, and we fear that that violence will spill out, it will widen and worsen if education cuts go ahead. So colleagues, this is what happens when, and it's why our Stand Up for Quality Education campaign is so important, colleagues. And I have to give a very special shout out to our colleagues in Glasgow who are at the moment undertaking a statutory ballot for industrial action to stop Council are proposing. Our across Scotland are Of course, to protect our own health and safety. Of course, it's to meet the needs of our young people, especially those young boys so enthralled to the misogynistic and racist influence online. But colleagues, we are doing it all for the well-being and fabric of our society. Is the best preventative spending to ensure social cohesion. But colleagues, austerity breakdown. Have the today as proud racism are here with you to swap. They are not. But go home, dealing with them is only the first step. It's not enough. We all have the elite who support them and manipulate them. And Andrew or Stephen or Tommy, whatever his name is, or Nigel, and who in monopolies. If the people tolerate the growth of private power to a point where they're it's true, and it is. To reverse austerity, and that is why we in the EIS in a few days' time will go to Brighton and vote with the TUC on motions on austerity, on wealth taxes and against the far right to send that message to the new Labour government. Comrades, we know it will not be easy to wrestle that wealth back to us, but we will. The finality of goodness is not just something for our classrooms, it has to be at the heart of our whole effort. We won't give up. As campaigners across Latin America have often expressed it, la fascists, and again
Thank you so much, Alan, and all the trade unionists who are here today. We will hear more speeches from trade unionists later on in the day, but I just wanted to do a shout out because the trade unionist movement in Glasgow hold an annual demonstration against racism, against fascism on St Andrew's Day, the 30th of November this year. We need to make sure this movement continues, that the growth of the far right isn't allowed in our city, across Scotland, in our local communities. So thank you to all the trade unionists who are here today, and particularly solidarity to the educators in their fight.
It's already been spoken about how, unfortunately, many politicians are actually whipping up fear against minorities, refugees and asylum seekers. But it's extremely important that when we can, we push our politicians to make sure they stand up and speak out. So thank you to the politicians who've agreed to speak to us for today, and I'm proud to announce the first speaker is Pauline McNeill, Scottish Labour MSP. Thanks, Pauline.
Thank you very much, and I'm really delighted to see such an amazing turnout. It's such an important turnout that you stand here in Glasgow. I'm proud of the city, and I'm proud of the fact that I can still see Palestinian flags waving in George Square, where you've been every week since the 7th of October calling for a ceasefire, and I continue to do that and demand justice for the Palestinian people. But I also want to thank Stand Up to Racism, because these people you see in the red jackets and the yellow jackets, but for them, we would not be able to have this platform. You would not be standing here if it wasn't for them day in and week out, making sure that we can stand firm, because it's up to us in our society, because we cannot ignore the spread of division and hatred. If it is not tackled, it will only get worse. The rise of the right and the extreme, and the nationalist movements across Europe must be stopped. I stand here with my MSP and MP colleagues from all parties, Pam Duncan Glancy and Paul Sweeney from Labour, Cocab Stewart, Patrick Harvey from the Greens, and all the progressive politicians who are prepared to stand up. There is no division between us when it comes to standing up against racism, Islamophobia and anti-Semitism, and there never should be. In the weeks after the violence in the town of Southport, of these three lovely girls, within hours of the news of the stabbing taking place, the crime was attributed to an asylum seeker who had arrived in the UK on a boat last year, who was supposedly on the MI6 watch list. Well, you know, my friends, none of this was true. Not one word. This is an example of how hatred is being spread by lies and hatred. And I think one of the important messages that I want to give today, and that is for those of you who go way back in the anti-racist movement and have campaigned for no platform for racists and no platform for fascists. Well, that applies to social media, and it absolutely applies to Twitter, X. Elon Musk must stop the hatred on this platform, because we live in a world and we know that we need to demand answers soon. We know that when something happens bad, we want to know what's happened. Well, it's so important, as well as standing up for solidarity, that we also demand that we ensure on our platform that we get accuracy and information. Refugees are welcome here. I stand up for progressive values, and I thank you so much for being here today. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Pauline. And one thing that I will say as well about this demonstration today is it shows who really Glasgow is. It's every community group represented here. It's every trade union. It's every faith group. It's every group across Glasgow that's been mobilising in their local communities to say that they won't stand for racism anywhere that it appears. One thing about this rally, if we haven't already said, they've said they're gathering at 1 p.m. We will not be leaving this square until they are gone. We will not allow racists to take the space in Glasgow. Whose streets are these? Whose streets? Whose streets? Whose streets? Whose streets? And the next speaker is a fantastic campaigner. She should be welcomed with open arms for all the work that she has done for human rights, for refugees. refugees and asylum seekers in Glasgow, in Scotland and beyond. She's a campaigner for the rights to vote for refugees and asylum seekers and so many more campaigns. I'm so delighted to welcome, please give her a big round of applause, Pinar Aksu. Hello, beautiful Glasgow. We are gathered here today to say that racists and fascists are not welcome in Glasgow and beyond Glasgow. People who are seeking asylum and refuge have been placed in hotel accommodations in rural areas purposely. They have been placed in hotels where they have to survive on around £8 a week. Imagine that's all you get, £8 a week to survive, to travel, to buy your food, to buy your clothes. And you get under £50 weekly if you're in a normal accommodation. And then people are not allowed to work. A lot of the negative narratives that we hear are, they're coming here, they're taking our jobs, they're taking our benefits. Guess what? They're not allowed to work. They have no right to access the public fund. And these hotels have been placed in rural areas purposely to divide the communities, to distract us from seeing the real enemy, the enemy who's been causing austerity for many, many years. And now with the new government, unfortunately, let's hope that there is going to be a change, but this austerity is going to take a while. And this problem is not on people who are seeking asylum and refuge. It's a problem that we see, the community cuts we see, the cuts in the NHS, the cuts in the education, and recently the winter fuel cuts for the pensioners. And sadly, one of the biggest campaigns we've done was the free bus travel for asylum seekers in Scotland, which was introduced after many years of campaigning by the Green Party 1 year ago. And unfortunately, this has been scrapped by this current government. This small change was going to enable people to travel, was going to enable people to have little right of freedom while they're pressured and they are staying in a prison-like condition, detention-like condition. And to the racists who are gathered here, they're not welcome here. We've seen what we've done at Kenmure Street. If it means we're going to stay here for hours, we will stay here for hours until they are off our streets. We've gathered here in this square in Buchanan Steps, in Kenmure Street, in Govan, and across the city. This country and Glasgow has a history of solidarity, from trade unions to educations to refugee rights organisations. And I want to finish off by saying that people are people. People flee because they need to flee. All they're looking for is a basic human rights. All they're looking for is a warmth, hug, and a community where they are welcomed. Not a community where they're told that they're not welcome in this country. And I want to finish off by saying that if everybody could put their fists up in the air, and we're going to chant it loud, and we're going to chant it clear. Say it loud and say it clear! 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 Solidarity and peace, everyone. Thank you. Thank you, Pinar. And I just want to start out a new chant. We might not have heard it before. Nigel Farage, go to hell. Take your racist friends as well. Nigel Farage, go to hell. Nigel Farage, go to hell. There's politicians who want to try and take upon themselves the growth of the far right and turn it into an electoral movement. Scotland is not immune to that. Scotland is not immune to that. With the votes that Reform got in Scotland at the next Scottish parliamentary elections, we could be looking at 10 Reform MSPs. That would be a tragedy. We're not going to let it happen. We're not going to let it happen. And so it's so important, again, that we do have politicians who are willing to stand up and speak out when it counts on the streets, saying loud and clear that refugees are welcome. So I'd like to introduce our next speaker, Patrick Harvey from the Scottish Greens. Well, big welcome.
It looks to me as though some of our far-right opponents are deciding to leave the square already. They won't be missed. Friends, over the last few weeks, since those horrific events, you'll have heard a few phrases, a few forms of words that have started becoming a bit more common. One of them is mindless violence. You'll have heard a lot of people condemning mindless violence. Now, I've no doubt that there were some people who just got attracted into all that because they were up for a fight. But let us be in no doubt either that the motivation behind those riots was not at all mindless. It was deliberate. It was intentional. It was an intentional desire to see far-right, fascist and racist violence on the streets of this country. We should not call it mindless. We should know it for what it is. You'll have heard the phrase, legitimate concerns quite a lot over the last few weeks. Legitimate concerns. You'll have heard politicians and pundits saying, yes, you know, the violence is terrible, but there are people with legitimate concerns about immigration. Well, I have a legitimate concern about our immigration system. My legitimate concern about our immigration is that it is racist to its core, that it is brutal. And what we saw in the days after those riots was people in far greater numbers taking to the streets in towns and cities throughout the country, demanding that their voice against the far right, their voice against fascism be heard. Those are the people with truly legitimate concerns, the people who see the rise of fascism and say no. And you'll have heard some people, not just on the fringes of social media, but right throughout mainstream media in this country, you'll have heard people say, you know, the problem is we're just not allowed to have a debate about immigration in this country. What planet have they been living on? Immigration has been debated and debated and debated. The people who are seeking to obsess about immigration have been the dominant voice in so much of our media and so much of our politics in this country, not just for years, but for decades. And government after government after government has created an ever more brutal immigration and asylum system. We need to say an end to that. I believe, and I know you believe, that we are capable of being a country that understands the privilege of having asylum seekers in our country, the privilege of having immigration to our country. People who describe asylum, but having asylum seekers here as a burden, they do not understand what it is to bear a burden. To have to leave your home in desperation and pack up your meagre belongings and put your lives and your family's lives at risk to make that journey of desperation. That's what it is to bear a burden on this planet at the moment. And to be in a position to be asked for asylum, to be in a position to be lucky enough to be able to offer asylum, that is what it is to be privileged in this world. We should be thankful for the ability to offer asylum to those who need it. And we will create a society that is proud to do so. Thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Patrick. We are black. We are white. Together we are dynamite. against the inhumane and barbaric treatment of refugees and asylum seekers. She's the chief executive of Positive Action in Housing and an incredible lifeline. There's a charity that's an incredible lifeline for those impacted by the government's cruel anti-immigration policies. Today, she will be speaking in her own personal capacity. Would you welcome Rabina Qureshi?
Hello, brothers and sisters. Yes, I am speaking here in a personal capacity. We all need to be careful what we say, because condemning a genocide and the indiscriminate slaughter of tens of thousands of children is apparently a crime that could get you charged under terrorism legislation. This is where we are today. Last month, on August 7th, people were terrified that we would be collectively punished for something that we had nothing to do with. But nothing happened. And today tells us one thing: there is more of us than there is of them. So I have one message for those who want Muslims, migrants and minorities to go back home to where we came from. We are home and we are going nowhere. These are not just random thugs. Their leaders are Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage, who are committing criminal acts by inciting violence based on lies and prejudice. These cheerleaders of hate should be prescribed as terrorists and given no space whatsoever in public discourse or on genteel TV interviews on the BBC and Channel 4. Social media platforms can mobilize riots in a matter of hours. These platforms must be prosecuted for inciting violence, anti-Muslim and anti-refugee hatred. Those rioters claim they want to stop the boats. Then it's very simple, Keir Starmer. You should provide safe and legal routes for refugees. If you don't bomb a country and supply the arms, people will not go anywhere else. They will stay very happily in their own homes. If you did not bomb Afghanistan, the Afghans would not have had to come here in so many numbers. If you did not bomb Iraq, Iraqis would not have come here in so many numbers. They'd have stayed there with their free telephones and their electricity and their free education overseas. Just stop bombing our countries. Fighting racism is about human rights, and today all of human rights converge on the state of Palestine. This is what the presenter of a long-running English podcast in Israel called Two Nice Jewish Boys said as he boasted about the mass extermination of the Palestinian people. If you gave me a button to erase Gaza, every single living being, I would press it right now. Do you care if this baby in Gaza gets polio? 0 people in Israel care. They'd be like, leave me alone, I'm trying to buy ice cream. Yesterday, we went to a concert. We danced, and you can't help but think that hundreds of thousands of Gazans are homeless. It makes the concert more enjoyable. Israelis enjoy knowing that they are suffering. This is not me saying that. This is Two Nice Jewish Boys on the most longest running English podcast in Israel. The knowledge that they are living their best lives, enjoying a concert while so close to Palestinians suffering the most extreme fates imaginable in a concentration camp. There are courageous Israelis, of course. Gideon Levy, Amira Haas, and Ilan Pappy, and many others. They are courageous because they are so isolated. Those of us in the growing worldwide Palestine movement condemn the killing of all civilians. We just wish that they did too. The big lie about Gaza is that the Palestinians are the aggressors. We all know now, by the sophisticated, refined cruelty honed over many decades, that this did not start on October 7th. Today, we are the spectators. Tomorrow, it could be us. Right is on our side. We have the power. That power is actually in your wallet, what you spend. That power is in your wallet, and the boycott is working. They're losing billions. McDonald's, Coca-Cola, Starbucks, Zara. The boycott is working. Boycott Israel and every company that supports them. Barclays Bank, all of them. Free Palestine, because it will be free. Thank you.
Free Palestine! The STUC has been front and centre in the fight against the far right in Scotland, and we are proud to have their support for this rally today. Please welcome Linda Somerville, Deputy General Secretary of the STUC. Thank you. Comrades, it gives me immense pride to see the trade union banners from across Scotland gathered in front of me here today. Trade unions, as Sam said, are at the forefront of anti-fascist and anti-racist activity across Britain. And it is quite right that they're here today in Glasgow to take part in this rally. Like you, I watched in horror the scenes a month or more ago as they unfolded before our eyes and on our screens of attacks on mosques, of people in their homes, of people in the streets, in cars, and the attempted arson of hotels housing asylum seekers. We watched the situation spread across towns and cities and heard the politicians and the media tell us that this came out of nowhere. Yet anti-racist campaigners were not surprised by this. We were shocked by the violence, but we were not surprised. As we have had years of the drip feed of racist language in the press, the scapegoating of refugees from Westminster, from political leaders, has become mainstream, and they go unchallenged in interview after interview on the media. The discussion on migration is reactionary and hostile, and social media is a toxic battlefield of misinformation. Overlay this with decades of Tory and neoliberal cuts, austerity, cuts in public spending, cuts in the NHS, and the lack of affordable housing, and you have the makings of violent disorder. And despite what the right-wing politicians and the media told us, let me be clear, these were not protests. These events were not organised by people with legitimate concerns. We need to name it for what it was. These were violent, racist and Islamophobic riots. And I want to acknowledge the fear and trauma caused in black and minority ethnic communities, and that these events do not impact us all equally. While austerity is felt by all working class people, the brutality of structural racism is only felt by our black and minority ethnic comrades. But amongst all of that, it was heartening and gave us hope to see the response to these attacks, where mosques opened their doors, sometimes to those that had been battering them down, where volunteers came to sweep the streets, to build walls, repair damage, and to bring food and drinks, genuine acts of practical support and solidarity. And tens of thousands of people attended rallies like this across the country to defend their communities
and to say loudly, not in our name. That response, like today, gives us hope. Anti-racist campaigning is at the heart of trade unions' agenda on defeating fascism and also making sure we're in a world of justice and equality. And trade unionists stand with anti-racist campaigners across the country, as they did in Erskine, week after week for a year against the far right. In Elgin, in Perth, in Dumfries, trades councils and unions are involved in organising to keep the fascists and the racists off our streets. Every year we organise the St Andrew's Day March and Rally. It's a crucial point in the political calendar in Scotland. It's been happening for decades. Its 40 years anniversary is this year. It's a display of unity and strength against the far right. And it's a stand against discrimination and a celebration of a vibrant and diverse Scotland, the one that we want to live in. Never has this work been more important, but it's not just once a year, and it's not just today. It has to be every day in your workplaces and communities, to be anti-racist in your actions, to educate yourself and your colleagues about colonialism and our checkered history. In understanding the need for unity, we can pay good heed and listen to our sister and our teacher, Audre Lorde, who said, "You do not have to be me in order for us to fight alongside each other. And I do not have to be you to recognise that our wars are the same." Comrades, do not let the racists divide us. Do not let them speak without challenge or walk without our presence or be on our streets unless we are there. And I say it loud, there is no room for racists here.
Thank you so much, Linda. And I want to remind people that there are racists, there are fascists in George Square today. And I want to remind you that it's our numbers, our unity, that is telling them the message that they will not be tolerated. And we will not leave this square until they have left. Our next speaker is a brilliant young journalist and a political activist. And he was right in the middle of the race riots down in England. And he was just amazing. He was monitoring and coordinating efforts between different communities. So we're really proud to have him on the stage today with us. He's an authentic working class voice with incredible insight on building unity in what is our multi-ethnic and multi-faith working class communities. Will you welcome onto the stage, please, Taj Ali.
Assalamu alaikum, Glasgow. I am so proud to see so many trade union banners, so many Palestinian flags, so many people, black, white and brown, the diverse and multi-faith working class, and that is who we represent and that is who we fight for. I come from Luton. I am a proud British Kashmiri Muslim. My elders faced colonialism. They came to this country. They worked in the factories, the mills and the foundries for poor pay and conditions. They faced racism on the streets and still they fought back. And our message to the fascists who we defeated in Luton in 2011, who we defeated in Luton in the 1980s and the National Front and the BNP and those fascists who came before them. We do not fear you. We helped build this country, and we are here to stay. And during the racist violence last month, just as it was in 2011 when the EDL tried to march through my town, the people on the front line with black and Asian communities were white working class people. The far right do not get to speak for the white working class. They do not get to speak for Scotland. They do not get to speak for Britain. We have many problems in Luton, as we do in Glasgow, as we do in many parts of the country. We have one of the highest rates of child poverty in the country. We have one of the highest rates of homelessness. We have seen the impact of deindustrialization. And in many areas where we saw far-right riots, in fact 7 in 10 of the most deprived parts of the country saw far-right riots. There are material concerns in these communities, just as there are material concerns in places like Birmingham and Luton and Bradford and Scotland and Glasgow. And our job is to win over those who are being radicalized by the far right. Yes, you have your established fascists, and they must be physically confronted, and we must never appease their hateful narratives on migration or Muslims or refugees. But we also have to win over our people, because many of these communities once had thriving industries, a very strong trade union movement, and we were present in those communities. And if we are not present in these communities, the far right will thrive. They will play the blame game. And just like in the 70s and 80s, they are being emboldened, they are being empowered by racists in our press and politicians. And when I say politicians, I'm not just talking about the privately educated stockbroker, Mr. Farage, the charlatan who talks about the working class while at the same time saying he's the only politician in Britain keeping Thatcher's legacy alive. I'm also talking about Labour and Tory politicians who appease the far right, who give their arguments legitimacy. We must never, ever appease the far right. We must never, ever blame refugees or asylum seekers or immigrants or Muslims or any other minority for the problems caused by an elite who care about nobody. They don't care about those white working class kids being radicalized by the far right. They don't care about Muslims. They do not care about the working class. You'll never see them on a picket line standing up for workers. You'll never see them fighting for housing. And all of these issues, a roof over your head, food on the table, money in your pockets, safe streets and a world that lives in peace. We can all unite around those basic demands. And that is the message that we need to be putting out there. That we stand for the working class in all its diversity. We want solutions to the problems in our communities. We want to engage in dialogue with those who may disagree with us. And believe me, we can win some of these people over. Believe me, we can defeat that minority of fascists who are a bunch of cowards who attacked vulnerable Muslim women wearing the headscarf. We will not allow them to have women walking down the streets in fear. We will not allow them to attack places of worship, to spread their message of hatred and division. We will promote a message of working class unity, and we will win.
What an amazing speech there, and we've got some more fantastic speakers lined up. But unity is what wins the day for us all. We know that by standing in this square saying that the racists will never be allowed to grow in our communities, because we will stand against them, is the way we work the best. And the work will continue long after today to make sure that all forms of racism, whether that's racism against asylum seekers, refugees and migrants, whether that's racism against the Muslim community, whether that's the Islamophobia directed at Palestinian protesters, whether that's anti-Semitism in the Great Replacement theory, whether that's racism against Gypsy, Roma and Traveller people, we will stand and fight together. I'd like to introduce our next speaker. I know we had a speaker already speaking about education. And one of the things that's really important is education on our universities and our colleges. Anti-racism needs to be part of every single part of society. So thank you very much to Jeanette Finlay, UCU Scotland President, Chair of Call It Out, who's been willing to speak for us today.
Sisters and brothers, I'm absolutely delighted to see how many of you are here today. I know you've heard a lot of speakers and you're going to hear a lot more, so I'm not going to take up too much of your time. I have two things to say. First of all, on behalf of my union, a union that represents a sector which I'm needs them there and enrich our education system and makes it the so-called world-class education system which we claim to have. And so we need those people and we need them there and they bring everything to us and we want them to continue. When you talk about the people who are standing at the back of this square and who are assembled in the pubs behind us or in Jordan, they're for loyalist groups. That's who they are. They are the people who swim in the same dirty water as the racists who are in Luton or London or anywhere else. And when you assemble racists here, that's who you are. In this city and cities right across Scotland facilitate every year to organise hate fests. And while we're at it, a group of anti-fascist marchers from our community came in this square and they're currently being kettled over in that corner by political police who stood and let them assemble, who have allowed them to assemble inside those bars behind us. But when our people arrive to stand as anti-racists, with anti-racists, they're kettled in that corner. And we cannot ignore that. So thank you, brothers and sisters, for being here today. But when you say you won't allow the right on your streets, can I remind you that the right march our streets every week, 11 months of the year, and in particular in July, they take out the whole city for the first hour of the morning to the last hour at night. And you need to remember that, because if you can assemble for that, then you need to stand with us in our community and protect our churches, our places of worship, when those bastards are going past us. So thank you. Solidarity.
Thank you to all our speakers so far. We are going to say now, this is the time that the racists said that they would assemble in George Square. So we're going to make it sound really fucking loud.
Dunno.
And really
50
clear
people there.
that refugees are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear. because all of them are from fantastic organisations who supported the rally today, and we do have more. The reason we have more is we're holding this square. We are not letting racists claim this square as theirs. This is Glasgow, this is our square, these are our streets. They will not be allowed to mobilise in the streets of Glasgow. So to kick us off, before we hear more speakers, we're going to hear from the fantastic Shibirim again. By the way, please support them. They're a fantastic group, speaking out for equality. They have a recent podcast, if people want to search, talking about the work that they've done over many, many years. And we're so grateful for their support today. So I'll hand it over to Shibirim. Thank you.
Down this end of the square. Isn't that just something special? That beautiful piece of artwork's just gone round the world in Independence Live. There you go. I had no idea what I was saying there, but they smiled. Oh, seems to be a rather good reception here. Let's see if we can grab a few words. Anyone fancy saying a few words about why you're here to Independence Live? No? Just jog on, yeah? Well, there you go. Told myself to jog on there. Plenty of people out, but it shows the courage that people have to come out today and be amongst this peaceful demonstration against racism. Because people don't want to be filmed, they don't want to speak out because of the fear of the hatred from the end of the square. That's happening in Scotland, our country. We need to be here and come along. If you're thinking you're sitting there watching this feed or whatever, and you can come along here, come along. And stand shoulder to shoulder with the people that value human rights of the people, by the people. And for the people. I like that. Is that not a happy sight? An anarchist. I've no idea what anarchists. Ah, we're back again. Back again here with the PCS banner. Reception seems Oh, we're back again. I have no idea what's going on there. It's about the only place I seem to get reasonable feet. And you get a good view of right up the side of the crowd here. And we're back again. Got some drummers out in front of the stage here now.
Glasgow, Scotland, sorry. Please welcome one of the most hard-working grassroots activists that I know, Hector Sierra.
Oh, this is about the best angle I'm getting just now because the feet keep dropping.
A month ago, yeah, Tony Robinson tweeted a photo, a graphic for the race said the British are rising. Where has your Tommy gone and where has your Cabby gone? Glasgow Cabby, the race is for organizer of the protest on that stage who has been silent for 12 days. I want to start here by reminding everybody that this week has started with the chilling news that in the German state elections a Nazi party came first in some of those elections, and some of them it came second. I'll say that again, yeah? A Nazi party came first in elections taking place in Germany in 2024. If that's not a wake-up call that everybody needs to recognize the threat of the far right, I don't really know what it is. In Germany we see the AfD. In France we Marine Le Pen. In the US, we should replicate that. That's what they want to bring to the streets of Britain, to our communities, to our workplaces, and to our parliaments. Your party got 7% of the vote. 160,000 votes, too many for a far-right party. Well, the Hollywood elections take place on the other side, yeah? Hope you can hear me. We're gonna give you the benefit. This is your last chance to have some decency and walk out of that side of the square and join us here. This square today represents history. We are standing on both sides of history. They are the working class. Let me tell you something. I have never seen any of them on a picket line, on a housing protest, on a protest against cuts to public services. I'll tell you who I've seen there. I have seen the people standing on this side of the square. So when they say that they want to look after our own, we say that refugees and migrants are our own. And when they say that they have legitimate concerns about migration, we say that we have legitimate concerns about cuts to public services, about attacks on living standards, and we don't blame refugees and migrants for that, and we don't let off the hook the people who are really responsible for those conditions, the people at the top of society. Refugees and migrants like myself are part of the fight back for a better society. We are the working class. And look, we will continue to mobilize like the way we have done today. We're not leaving the square, by the way, for as long as they're staying here. We will continue to mobilize anytime they try to take to our communities. I also want to send a message to the politicians, the political parties that claim to oppose the far right.
What's going on over here?
They will show.
Just down at the corner of George Square now, and be interested to see just exactly what's going on. I think it's okay. The police have absolutely cornered and kettled a whole bunch of balaclava wearing thugs. We seem to have a pen full of thugs. Take a look at this, folks. They don't even appear to have the courage to show their faces. It's quite a warm day. It's quite a warm day here, right? So the longer we keep them here, and the more they're all covered up like that, the more they're gonna heat up, sweat. No, because they wouldn't have the intelligence to bring any hydration with them. So you'll probably hear a few thuds in a minute, as the less fit members of this brainless crowd here hit the floor, the ground. Here's good people of Scotland. Watch the fannies. Well, it's funny I got a section for that, but let's wander off back into the square now. That's a bit more It's not the tallest lot. I can see our reception's going. Why does he not show his face?
He should be over there. Are they not in the den? In the den.
I don't know what they, well, they had. I don't know what the story was because they had them Palestinian flags on.
There's something written over them.
Ah,
Green masks. Kamikaze looking masks.
I don't know why they're not showing their face.
They want to get up to this.
They've got balaclavas. Wait till you see, I've got no bag.
They've actually
Basically,
got
I'm
masks.
not, oh, these guys are all. I don't know why they're not showing their face.
They've got masks. And their boots on. It's not a balaclava.
I wonder if they're. Oh, we better just tell them there's a few people masked up in the crowd. Grab a police officer. I've got a full-size motorcycle helmet in my back just in case it kicks off.
Those spreading hatred, we must stand together against racism, Islamophobia, and show compassion and understanding towards one another. We must also continue to educate others about benefits of diversity and the value of that migrant brings to our communities. Let us reflect on the values of inclusivity and unity, and we strive to create a more welcoming and accepting society for all who call Scotland home. Together we can celebrate our differences and build a stronger, more vibrant and inclusive Scotland. Thank you for showing solidarity. God bless you.
Thank you so much, Raza, and we will all be, I'm sure, attending the St Andrew's Day anti-racism event that the Black Workers Committee is at the heart of the STUC. We want to make sure that there's a big throughout the year, the anti-racist
It turns out that these are Palestinian supporters. Not sure exactly who they are. Listen, excuse me. Just looking for a wee word with Independence Live. Here, guys, can somebody tell me who these guys are? Just we're Independence Live. And we're not going to put any faces on camera, we're just looking to find out. It sounds like they're good guys. These are pro-Palestinian activists as far as we can tell. So it sounds like they are. But they have been kettled, and they are the good guys. Right, this is hardcore. Nobody wants to talk to me about anything, so.
I don't think I can stick around really. Yeah, it's like
Yeah, so the people that were showing you earlier are actually anti-fascists. They are part of our crew. They're the people keeping the rest of the world safe. These are peaceful people being kettled here. Independence life here. You got any idea what's going on here?
That's the Green Brigade.
Aye.
We came over this way to counter protest against the far right.
Aye.
And they get surrounded by the police, escorted into the square.
So they've been found, and this is why they pulled their masks up. Just so they're not identified to the police.
That's, when you get the Green Brigade together, it's the Celtic supporters, you know.
It's the Celtic.
Yeah, it's the Celtic supporters that are pro-Palestine. And they've came here to counter protest against the far right. Everybody else on this side, you know, it's
because of
they've got their
and
face covered, they look like an intimidating crowd.
So but they're actually not.
No, they're not. That's over that side.
Well, that's loud and clear for the people of the world watching this broadcast of Independence Live. Now, this is the Green Brigade. They are pro-Palestinian, they are pro-immigration, and they've only got their faces covered because they just didn't want to get seen by the police just now.
The police are actually live video cameraing them over there. The ones with the orange caps are videoing them, or recording them on video camera, so that they can obviously check up on them. That's why they've got their faces disguised.
Well, there you go. The action's in this corner right here then. Oh, well, maybe lack of. But these people should be allowed to join the protest, without a doubt.
Yeah, definitely. They're not doing anything wrong.
Let them go. These are the good guys. Make no mistake, these are the good guys. These guys are pro-Palestinian. I figured it out eventually. Give me a break. Green Brigade, good guys. Let them peacefully join the protest. Green Brigade, good guys.
Yeah, that's what we're clarifying.
Yeah.
And young ones too.
Aye. These people have our hearts next to their hearts.
Who do you protect?
These are peaceful people, folk. Doesn't look like they're allowed to disperse, they'd just be completely kettled.
The whole time?
Yeah. And I just figured out who they are, it was the Green Brigade, so
Yeah.
it took a little while to do that.
Yeah, we were down here like an hour ago, and they've been in there.
I did notice them. Yeah. They had all shown up. I don't know if they just put the police there just because their faces are covered, but
they were up next to like the fascists, so they moved them down in case, like supposedly in case there was like actual fighting.
I understand also like this is illegal detainment if they've not got evidence.
well, they're doing it for their safety. If they were going to kick off up there with the fascists, the word there. So if they were, they are doing it for safety, but
let them disperse, not like, you know what I mean?
Exactly.
There's no reason that they can't like periodically through into the crowd.
Yeah.
Just let people out.
Well, us standing here is just probably adding to the kettlement. So let's go back into the crowd, and we'll do a little bit more filming for Independence Live. All right.
There's a lot of COVID masks, haven't there? Just convenience masks.
Aye.
They're hiding as well. They made a comeback for convenience.
So that was it. The Green Brigade were up beside the fascist protesters, and they were rounded up and they were moved down to the corner here. But I would say that they should probably be allowed to disperse, and it doesn't look like they are allowed to disperse. It was quite difficult to get anyone to talk to me there, but we managed.
Community organisations who work day in and day out in the places they live to make them better for the people who live there. We're only going to be able to do that if we take from this rally a message out to where we live about the need for unity and about the need for an alternative kind of society. My last point is this, that the struggle we are engaged in is a long one. It's a marathon and not a sprint. And therefore the only way that we can sustain the organisation we need is to build institutions, to build organisations of our own, independent of the political class that sold us out, independent of the foreign policy establishment that no...
Let's go round the back of the stage for a bit and we'll see if we can find my good friend Kevin. Absolutely no sign of Kevin.
That we win the argument that austerity is not just an attack on our living standards, but an attack on our democracy. We are going to do that together. This day has been one small contribution to that, and what are going to be hundreds of contributions. And bringing those movements together, we have to say we are going to rely on one power and one power alone. No politician, no party, no media outlet, the power of working class people standing together, because it's the only thing that's ever changed society for the better throughout history, and it's the only thing that can change society for the better today.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. And I think that is a powerful message, because we can all stand up here and speak to all of you guys, but you guys hold the power. You are the ones that are going to go back into your communities. A few weeks ago, I was walking, I wasn't going to talk about this, but I was walking on the south side of Glasgow on Victoria Road, if anyone knows it, a really safe road, and I was racially attacked. A man came up to me, did a Nazi salute, called me a black bastard, and agony. And it was the passers-by. It was the guys, the men and the women on the street that dragged that man away. And I was honestly today coming back and watching this unity. I'm empowered again because it is the people in our communities that are going to protect the people in our communities. So I want to bring Cheryl to the stage. She's a brilliant activist who was a central figure in the Erskine defeat against the Homeland Party, the far-right Homeland Party, and that's another example of a community defeating the far-right in Scotland. She's the Vice Chair of the STUC Black Workers Committee, and she's from the PSCS Union. Can you please welcome Cheryl Govan?
Hi all! Oh my days! Firstly, our compers, Alex and Zam, you're amazing. I wish I had strepsils to give you. To everyone, salam, sat sri akal, kemcho in my own language. I'm speaking, thank you, that's amazing. Shout out to this guy, thank you so much. I'm speaking as a proud PCS member. I'm here today because trade unions know solidarity incredibly well. I never thought I'd give a speech to this many people. You are all amazing. If this is your first time at any anti-racist demo, please give a cheer. I want to know where you are. Amazing, yes! Honestly, to you, to everyone else, thank you so much for stepping up. It's people like you and everyone on our side of the square that are the reason why I'm not scared to leave my home. Today you've heard a fantastic lineup of speakers. I'm fully aware that I'm preaching to the converted, but we do have to occupy the square until the racists are done, so here I am. The anti-immigration protest on the other side of the square was called by the Glasgow cabbie Steph Shaw and supported by a think tank group called A Force for Good. Wonderfully named because, you know, they do such a great job winning pay rises, securing rent controls, fighting inequality, building community. Oh wait, no, that's not them. It's all of us here. And the Glasgow cabbie who wants his protest to be peaceful, there is no peaceful way to say that you don't want me in this country. Right? If they can hear me, I want them to know being anti-immigration is as sensible as being anti-breathing. People have moved freely since the dawn of time. Creating sad AI images of Union Jacks doesn't tangibly improve anyone's quality of life. Trying to intimidate people of peace, people like me, my friends, my family, that shows that the threat to this country was never immigrants, but their division. I really would love to understand the mental gymnastics the far-right undergo. They post wonderful images about respecting our troops. These are the same troops who will be disgusted to see the fascism they are tempted to return. Going back into history, started with mostly the British Union of Fascists, the National Front, the BNP, the EDL. These are homegrown, fueled by the racism, nurtured by British imperialism, the state and politicians. Defeating these groups has to be a goal of everyone here and those you know who couldn't make it here today. We undo hateful ideology by being proudly anti-racist and proudly anti-fascist, which is all of you here. Talk about it today online, talk about today in person to friends, pop to the stalls, join your tenants union, join your work union. If there isn't one, form a branch with like-minded colleagues. And particularly shout out to PCS, Google PCS's Safe Passage, A-Action and complete that. And to end, I wanted everyone to do a couple of things. If you don't know everyone around you, just smile, give each other a fist bump and hello. There's not a lot of that going on, but yes, love it. We are each other's people. Raise that fist with me, and here's a new chant for today. Glasgow cabbie, you can't hide, you have Nazis on your side. Glasgow cabbie, you can't hide, you have Nazis on your side. Thank you so much, everyone. Solidarity.
Cheryl, so we do. Breath of fresh air. Our next speaker is from the RMT Union, and I have to say he's a bit my favourite. You know, he was saying, oh, you say that to everyone, but I'm going to be honest, he is one of my favourite speakers. He's a phenomenal activist, a phenomenal anti-racist. He's been involved in every anti-racist campaign that I've been in. I've seen him everywhere. Could you please welcome Gordon Martin from the RMT Union?
Good afternoon, Glasgow. Fantastic to see trade union flags and banners here. And I'm here representing my trade union, the RMT. And at the same time as we have members and activists here, we have members and activists in London and elsewhere opposing the slaughter of men, women and children in Gaza, and opposing racists all over the place, because it equals one and the same thing. And we have a racist government who have taken over for the previous shower of Tory racists who stand idly by while the people of Gaza are bombarded back to the Stone Age by a right-wing racist state in Israel. That is exactly what's happening here, and our government sit back and do nothing to stop it. Meanwhile, in this fair land, the Scottish Government and the UK Government are imposing a diet of cuts on the working class. Cut after cut after cut. Now the SNP will say it's not cuts, it's not austerity, we're living within our means. I don't care if it's a Tory cut, a Labour cut or an SNP cut, it's an attack on the working class. And rather than attacking us, they should be taxing the rich. They should be taxing the rich and the poor misguided fools at the back there who are worried about people coming over here, people who are destitute, people who are trying to leave war zones. They're worried about them coming here on rubber dinghies. When the people they should be worried about come here in private yachts and private aeroplanes and screw us rotten while they make ever greater increase in profits. That's the reality, and as I say, the poor misguided fools at the back can't realise that. They're still living in the dark ages, a lot of them, and they're being misled. And Tommy Robinson, Nigel Farage, and this idiot, the Glasgow cabbie, who's poked his head up above the parapet and now disappeared, as previous speakers have said. So, as I say, I'm here representing the RMT. You can see my good friends to the Fire Brigade Union, PCS, Unite, UCU, PCS, Unison, whole gambit of the trade union movement is here because we understand what it's all about. We all came from somewhere else, and as I say, the people at the back are still coming for the dark ages, but the rest of us living in an enlightened society are here to stand in solidarity with the oppressed, stand in solidarity with people being racially abused, and making it clear we will not accept that, but also making it clear to the politicians and the political parties the social conditions that allow that to happen are not good enough. They're not sustainable. We need proper investment in our public services, public investment in our housing stock, public investment in the workers that deliver essential services, whether it be my colleagues in the FBU or my colleagues here in Unison, the EIS, etc. There are thousands of vacancies needing filled right across the public sector, and to be told we can't afford it is absolute bollocks. We can afford it. What we can't afford is the rich to continue to get away with not paying proper levels of tax, and politicians of all parties, including the SNP at the front here, allowing it to happen. So we are the many, they are the few. And I've said it every time I speak at these things. We need to get organised and vote for people that represent us. And if they don't represent us, kick their arse out of office and vote for somebody that will. That's the reality, because we all deserve a decent standard of living. And that stretches for people in Palestine, who, as I say, have been bombed back to the Stone Age, to people in Paisley. We're all human beings, and we all deserve to be treated with respect, decent housing, decent jobs, decent standard of living, decent education for our kids. That's not a lot to ask for. But in any society that can't provide that is broken. And at this time, our governments are not providing that. So I would argue society is currently broken. And it's down to us, the many, particularly via the trade unions, to fix that. So solidarity, nae pass around, and keep the Nazis out of Glasgow and elsewhere in Scotland. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gordon. Just a quick announcement. If someone has lost their phone, we do have a phone here. If you've lost your phone, please come to the barrier at the stage and we'll check to see if it's yours. Just wanted to say it's fantastic to see so many campaigns. I know we've spoken about it, but in particular we've seen a ramping up of Islamophobia directed at the Palestine movement. So it's fantastic for us to welcome Dr. Issam Hijawi from the Palestine Democratic Forum to the stage. Please give a warm welcome in the face of racist attacks on all the Palestinian movements. Thank you.
Hello Glasgow, hello Scotland. Stand up to racism. We should go beyond the manifestation of racism and thinking about the roots of it. When the UK went to colonize more than 53 countries in the world, this is where racism and fascism is born. When you colonize people and deprive them from their wealth, from their culture, they don't have only the right to resist, but they have the duty to resist. Colonialism is the mother of all awful ideologies in this world. And the UK, historically, it was the main colonialist power in the world after the First World War. So they have to bear the consequences. Refugees, they don't have only the right to come to this country. It's part of the liberation of the colonialist legacy of the UK. But racism, which is embedded in the elite of this country, which led that the immigrants which been forced to come here after the Second World War, which is known the Windrush. They brought him to work in the factories to feed the nation, and then 70 years still after that, they're denying their right to be citizen in this country. So this is the colonialist mentality and the colonialist ideology. Myself, I am a doctor.
This is difficult to see with the screen and the...
I came to this country in 1995.
How have you been doing with them?
Fully qualified.
How have you been doing with research?
The government, they didn't pay a penny on my education,
My feet kept dropping.
on my needs of anything.
It would drop. Ah, it was... And then we come in here, it was kind of...
People like me who came to this country, fully qualified doctor, we making 36% of the doctors serving in the NHS. So this is the truth about immigration. It is not the scary ideology
Yeah, I was thinking, who are these people?
fed to the working class that these immigrants, they're coming here to steal your job. It is not true.
Thinking they've got melons, I'm thinking, wait a minute, they're us.
What led to the poverty in this country is the long chronic policies of different governments. Not investing in our public services. Not investing in the NHS.
Good to see you. Give us a friend on Facebook.
And just investing on behalf of warmongers, politicians to go and to wage wars all over the world.
I'll send you a message, right?
Yeah.
As Palestinian coming here, and I saw some of these sick people the other end of the square holding the UK flag blended with the Israeli one, and that does tell you all the story. Zionism is the ugly face of racism. Zionism is the ugly face of all ideologies which they try to dehumanize us as Palestinians. Theodor Herzl, the founding paper of Zionism in 1897, he declared his ideology by saying, a land without people for a people without land.
Such dehumanization of our people by ignoring their existence in their homeland and saying that's a land without people. Well, more than 30 years from that ill declaration, here we are, the Palestinian people, where globally all the people chanting from Japan to South America.
Yes, my people are suffering in Gaza and the West Bank and the rest of Palestine. But be sure that will never be defeated. We will never give up to fight for our national rights of freedom, self-determination, and right of return of more than 7 million Palestinians to their homelands. That's our destiny, and that's our choice of life. We love life, but life of free people, life of people living in their homeland with dignity and freedom. And by the end, my friends, fascism, racism, and Zionism are all, as I mentioned earlier, the same ideology.
but here with you, as the rest of ordinary people all around the world. We thank you for standing up for what is just and what is right. And the right of Palestinian people for freedom, it's becoming a global issue when everywhere people raising their voices and coming together for the last 11 months to say enough is enough. And this genocide must be ending. And this ethnic cleansing must be ending. And the perpetrator should be brought to justice and won't be long. Together with your support, justice will prevail. Thank you. Just before I close my speech, I would like you to come in moral support, chanting with me, from the river to the sea, Palestine will be free. From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
From the river to the sea, Palestine will be free.
Thank you, comrade, and believe in me, the freedom of Palestine is coming, is coming, is coming. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Dr. Issam, and thank you to all our speakers so far. I just want to acknowledge as well
Let's go for it.
that football fans have always been an integral part of the anti-racist movement.
Ah, here we go. This might be something about the Green Berets.
Supporting food banks. Back this demonstration today in Glasgow from all different football fans actually, but also a football fans group in Merseyside joined this demonstration today to say no to racism. It's a disgrace that the police are not allowing Celtic fans who gathered to join us today into the square. They are one and the same. We are all together in unity. The police should let them in. The police should let them come in and join the anti-racist crowd. We are together as one in unity against racism. The next speaker I'd like to introduce, a fantastic organisation. Community Info Source is an asylum seeker and refugee-led organisation. It has 18 years experience of working with asylum seekers and refugees in the Glasgow area. In 2023, they provided services to 400 plus asylum seekers and refugees to help them know their rights through various projects. At the moment, they're providing services and support through their projects, housing support for asylum seekers, wellbeing and language support, and combating violence against women. So I'm really pleased to welcome to the stage, and please do listen to the speakers. It's important we have refugee rights organisations as part of the stage.
Akuzada is their chairperson, and I'm really proud to welcome him to the demonstration today.
Good afternoon, everyone, and thank you so much for staying that late to listen to us. Whatever I say, I wish we were not here today. It was not necessary for us to be here today instead of spending time with our family, friends, and enjoying the sunshine. But unfortunately, we have to come back here again for many years, and as we are still struggling with the consequences of the fascism and the root of the racism in this country. Free Palestine, and I am sure one day Palestine will be free, and free Kurdistan, and Kurdistan for Kurdish, all the part in the Middle East will be free. The reason I am here because of the colonization and bombarding and the chaotic political situation UK and the rest of the powerful countries doing in the Middle East. I came by lorry, not boat, because at that time boat not exist. They shut down all the routes, not the safe routes, the routes by lorry, which is a much safer. Now people has to take the riskiest route coming by donkey. I hope I was able to come as a tourist, coming by flight, but all the routes were not available, and the chaotic of the political situation and the military invasion in Iraq and all part of Kurdistan, and selling all the arms, generating multi-million of pounds by UK businesses to sell arms to Turkey to scrutinize and destroy our land, killing people, selling arms to Saudi Arabia, Yemen, and creating all the chaotic political situation, destabilizing the Middle East. Of course, not just me, thousands and millions has to flee and come to this country to seek in a safe country, safe place. So the reason we are here, because it's because of the historical mistake and ongoing mistake of the foreign policy of this country. We cannot stop the boat until we stop the invasion of the UK and the rest of the EU and also the America in the Middle East and Africa and the rest of the world. This boat cannot be stopped. We will not be safe, as we cannot stop the racism and fascism in this country until we change the hostile environment, until we change the policy in this country created by Tory government for decades, and it will be repeated by Keir Starmer government again and again. This has to be changed. This has to be stopped. Keir Starmer and Labour Party are repeating the same and a different label, just having excuse to scapegoating refugee community and asylum seeker community. This is a just brainwashing community, local community, that we are here and we are creating the crisis. Economic crisis, living crisis, and also the NHS, whatever the system are failing to do to their community, they take a responsibility and they scapegoat refugee and asylum seeker in this country. Until we stop the reform leaders loudly, shamelessly calling to not rescue refugees are dying in the channel, to be killed, to be died, to be sunk, we cannot change the boat coming. We cannot tackle racism until they put up behind the bar, not those are seeking asylum in this country, seeking a safe place to live. Multi-billionaires, Ben Habib calling racism, shamelessly calling refugee to be not rescued, an asylum seeker. And so many other UK leaders, and not just UK reform leaders, the racist, fascist parties, but also by many other politicians, which we have seen and we have heard in the TV debate and inside the UK Parliament, loudly, they are repeatedly scapegoating refugee community. We cannot stop racism if we not change the education system, if we are not being honest about the history, the mess we have created around the world and in the Middle East, particularly as a Kurdish talking. We cannot stop the boat until we stop selling the parts and the military to those countries killing people in the Middle East. Unfortunately and sadly, Scotland is part of these manufacturers. They are selling weapons, providing weapons to UK, to the rest of the Middle East. Very, very sadly, the powers and the technology powers, military, killing people, birds, humans, bombarding everything, create in the channel, in the Clyde River, which is very sad for us. We are calling to stop the boat, but we are providing multi-million arms cell to the country that we have destroyed. This cannot to be changed until we make a political change and change everything from the foreign policies and reversing the damage UK has done and they are continuously doing. We need to be united. If we cannot be united, we cannot defeat the racism which is rooted in this country. We should not be shamed away. This is the education problem. We need a unity. Otherwise, this poison will spread the rest of the community. Thank you.
Thank you so much, and once again, thank you for sticking around. Every single one of you is amazing. The sun has come out. We are not moving until the fascists are out of our square. So thank you for sticking about. And I also want to reiterate, it's an absolute disgrace that the police are not allowing people to come to George Square and join the anti-racists in George Square. I personally am feeling really angry about that. So please, would you join with me and say, let them in, 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 let them in. Right, guys, the speaker I'm going to introduce next is a friend and brother of mine, a phenomenal speaker. He's the director of the Afghan Human Rights Foundation, a passionate anti-war activist, a former Afghan refugee. You will have seen him alongside Amar Anwar at Ken Muir Street. He's brilliant. You will enjoy his speech. He's a tireless campaigner for anti-racism and refugee rights. It's Mohammed Asif. Please welcome him.
Thank you, Glasgow. Today, when I was wandering around at the square, I call it Freedom Square. You know, there's few brown and black faces, very few, but I'm so proud of my Scottish brothers and sisters, you know, who came from around Scotland and stood with us today and said loud and clear, no to fascism and racism, brothers and sisters. And I'm so proud, I cannot explain in many words that I am part of the Scottish society, part of this great city, Glasgow, a city which gave refuge and welcomed Nelson Mandela. When Nelson Mandela was called a terrorist, the people of Glasgow welcomed him in Scotland and Glasgow. So thank you, Glasgow, and thank you, the people of Scotland. You know, if we are surprised that why we're here today, you know, it's not really surprise, because for the past 14, 15 years, we had the Tories, and the job that Tories has done, the only one job. Muslims, asylum seekers, refugees, black and brown, and the less fortunate Scottish brothers and sisters, you know, who came from around Scotland and stood with us today and said loud and clear, no to fascism and racism, brothers and sisters. And I'm so proud, I cannot explain in many words. Black and brown and the less fortunate in our society. If you're shocked and surprised, I'm not, that why people in England and Ireland were running after asylum seekers and refugees, destroy their businesses and lives. So this was abdicated, or this was, united. Scotland stand united, and look at the races there. You know, we're like 50, they're 1. You know, 50 against 1. You know, we should be really, really proud. You know, I'm a Muslim, and many of my colleagues in this square, probably majority of you are not Muslim. And you stand with me, you stand, you know, with my people, with my background, with my culture, with my religion. And that is the beauty in the unity. That is the beauty that when we come together, we stand united. Remember the Kinmare Street. Kinmare Street was similar to this one, where the police are kettling, you know, the Celtic supporters who are anti-fascist and anti-racist, you know, and they're kettled there. When we told the police that today it is about anti-racism and anti-fascism, you know what the police said? Oh, if they remove their masks, we can let them go. So, you know, they're kettled for the past 2-3 hours, sitting there, not allowed to join us. Today is about celebration, you know, about unity, about our diversity. The beauty in this country is when we stand together, we can get rid of the Tories, the rotten Tories. We can get rid of, you know, whoever is in power when we come together, brothers and sisters. And let me tell you this, I'm from Afghanistan, and I came 24 years ago as a refugee to this city. 3 o'clock in the morning, I arrived in Glasgow. And since then, the love and support and the compassion of the people of Scotland has never ended. It is always the Scottish people, you know, they're the warriors. You know, like the brave heart, you're the warrior, the front line, you know, protecting the rights of refugees, migrants, Muslims, you know, those who come in this country. And let me tell you this, why I come to Scotland and Britain. My country was invaded by Britain, America, and plus 48 other countries. You know, hundreds of thousands of people were killed in Afghanistan. Then 1 million people were butchered, brutally killed by a war criminal, Tony Blair. Then we have the Libyan conflict, where David Cameron, another war criminal, killed innocent, our brothers and sisters. Look at the conflict in Gaza. And the politician, the man who called himself to be a human rights lawyer, Keir Starmer, you know, having no guts to say that there should be a permanent ceasefire. The people of Palestine should be given, you know, dignity, their rights to choose their future, you know, under 24 hours daily. What we have seen is innocent women and children, I said, women and children in Palestine and Gaza, killed with British weapons, made in Scotland, made in Britain, not far from here, first lane, you know, not far from here. You know, innocent children, you know, who got nothing to do with Hamas. I don't give a damn about Hamas. You know, what I stand here before you is, we have to stand with the people of Gaza, with the people of Palestine. We have to stand united. You know, they're coming after me today. Tomorrow they're coming after you. You know, they're going to take away your freedom. They're going to take away your rights. They're going to take away your movement. So please stand united. Say loud and clear that this city does not want the fascists and racists. You know, this city is a great city. Scotland is a welcoming country. And Scotland welcome people from anywhere who makes Glasgow and Scotland their home. So stand united. Come together. And we can defeat whether it's the Tories, the Labour, or anyone else in power. So we stand united with our brothers and sisters in Palestine, in Gaza, in Afghanistan, in Iraq, in Libya, and Syria. You know, we are the victims of British and American bombs. You know, when you launch an illegal war, millions of people get displaced. When the very people who are the victims of your bombs, who come here, they're told, you are not wanted here. We are going to send you to Rwanda. And please, you know, don't misunderstand me. In this country, there is 2 layers of asylum system in this country. If you are white, you know, I love white people. They are beautiful, green eyes, nice hair. But if you are a white refugee from Europe, you're welcome here. But if you are someone from Afghanistan, victims of British and American bombs, if you're someone from Iraq, you know, again, a victim of British illegal wars, Libya, Yemen, Sudan, you know, you're not wanted here. You're told that you are the problem here. It is not me, an asylum seeker or refugee, who caused, you know, the cost of living crisis. It is not me who collapsed the British economy. It is not me who caused the energy crisis. It is the rich and the filthy in Downing Street who are taking away your money. So together we stand united and we say no to fascism and racism. Long live Scotland and Glasgow. Thank you.
Very much, Mohammed Asif. We have a speaker from another teaching trade union. It's Mustafa. Mustafa, are you from the NASWT? Thank you very much, Mustafa.
Friends, comrades, good afternoon. I stand before you today on behalf of the NASUWT, the largest teaching union in the United Kingdom. Alongside other teaching union sisters, we represent over 500,000 educators across the United Kingdom. But we have joined today as defenders of equality, justice, and the values that hold this nation together. I am telling this because everyone we represent and every child we educate, we're horrified to see what some of our community are capable of. Brothers and sisters, we gather here today not out of anger or hatred, but of shared commitment to justice, dignity, and the values that unites us. We are here because our country stands at a crossroads and we must choose the path of love, solidarity, and respect for all. That's what education is all about. Aristotle said once, know yourself, and knowing yourself comes through education, through self-intelligence and wisdom. And that's what the educators is trying to achieve in this country. Across the way, there are those who preach hate, who thrive on fear, and who seek to divide us based on the color of our skins, the language we speak, or the faith we hold dear. They mask their hatred under the slogan of patriotism. Under the slogan of patriotism and pride. But we know better. We know that the true patriotism is about building bridges, is about educating minds, not building walls. True pride in our nation comes from celebrating our diversity and demonizing community and celebrating communities. Glasgow, we are here today to make a clear stand and to be clear in our position. We agree, we endorse much of the speeches, the passionate speeches that we heard earlier on, that we stand in solidarity with immigrants, with asylum seekers, with Muslims, with all other communities, with black and ethnic and every single community to be respected in this country. Immigrants and refugees, by the token of extremists, they want to still fear in our society and they want to scapegoat them because of the problems that we're facing in our society. The economic problems we're facing, the educational problems we're facing, the societal issues that we have, it's due to the policies of investment and the policies of austerity. Cutting funds for education, cutting funds and resources to education means you get bigots on the streets, you get haters on the streets, You get all the racists on our streets. Empower us so we can empower the society. Stop cutting funds to the teachers and to the classrooms. Funding, brothers and sisters, funding wars, illegitimate wars across the globe is no-brainer. Create the problem of asylum seekers. So we should stop funding these mad wars across the world. This has to stop. The politician, the media, everyone, the media and the bandits, they have to be held accountable to what they are feeding our societies. We are not a ticket to the seats in the parliament. The lives of people, the minds of people, we are not to be granted, to be taken for granted in order to achieve political ends. Brothers and sisters, unionists, all people from walks of life, we must condemn not only the rioters, but also the politicians who have emboldened them, who have lied to their constituents, telling them that immigrants, Muslims, all other diverse communities are to blame for the state of the economy. This rhetoric has normalized hate, turned our neighbors into scapegoats. We must stand up. We must stand together. This is a difficult time. This is a crucial time, because when they attack refugees, they attack all of us. When they seek to divide us by race, by religion, by nationality, they weaken the very fabric of our society. And as teachers, as educators, we cannot and will not let this happen. Our role as educators to build bridges, not walls. Our duty is to educate the next generation to reject the ignorance and bigotry that the far-right fascist depends on. We must teach our children the values of solidarity, compassion, and understanding. We must show them that diversity is not a threat, it is our greatest strength. Glasgow, the resurgence of the far-right bigotry and extremism across Europe and its threats to peace, unity and social progress, the rise of hate both in Europe and America, is indeed a symptom of deeper political and societal problems. To combat this, we need a multifaceted approach that goes beyond surface level solution. We must call for real leadership for our politician that stands firm against divisive ideologies, promoting inclusive governance that serves all citizens equally. A healthy media landscape, whether social or mainstream, is crucial, one that adheres to professional journalism standards and prioritizes truth and accountability over sensationalism. Education, education, education also plays a pivotal role. We need a system that inspires young minds to think critically, to embrace tolerance, and to champion social justice. By nurturing such values, we can empower future generations and reject hate and extremism and build bridges within their community. Finally, brothers and sisters, active communities like yourselves are essential, are the bread and butter. It's through the grassroots effort, local leadership, and everyday interactions that we can challenge and dismantle harmful ideologies. It's only through this combination of strong governance, responsible media, transformative education, and engaged communities that we can effectively defeat the twisted ideologies that seek to divide us under the guise of patriotism or culture preservation. So, I say to you, join us, stand with us against the forces of hatred, stand in solidarity with the refugees, with the Muslims, with every community that has been targeted by the fascists. Do not let them divide us. Together we can build a society that is fairer, safer and stronger. Together we can show the world that Scotland, that Britain, that Europe will not be dragged into the darkness of fascism, but will shine as a beacon of hope and unity. Thank you very much for listening.
Thank you so much, and we do only have a few more speakers for today, but we will be staying in this square, as we said, till the racists go, because this is our Glasgow. I'm also really, really happy to announce, because it's not just in Glasgow that there's a threat. In Aberdeen, the racists said that they would march. 250 anti-racists turned out today in Aberdeen, and guess how many Nazis? A big fat zero. They're going to be relegated to history. Well done to Aberdeen anti-racists for mobilising. And that's what we need in every area of Scotland. The next speaker is a veteran anti-racist campaigner. Is a Scottish Socialist Party, Rishi Benton. Rishi, please come on stage. Thank you.
Friends and comrades, and I salute your stamina. Obviously kept me to keep the crowd here. First of all, I think when we look around today at the marvellous demonstration of unity, it's a reminder that it's people's power in action which is our weapon against the rise of fascism, racism and the far right. We cannot rely on heavy police sentences, heavy police action, jails and so on to get rid of the causes of those poisons, because unfortunately they'll still remain even when some young ones that got involved are put in jail. As far as I'm concerned, people like Tommy Robinson, so-called, Nigel Farage, or people who tried to burn people alive in hotels over the last month deserve to be jailed. But as far as I'm concerned, that is not the solution. The solution is people's power mobilised by countering these forces with facts and, more above all, with action. Because Tommy Robinson has fleeced some of the poorest in this country to amass a personal wealth of nearly £2 million so that it can incite people to burn hotels, holiday inns in Rotherham from the safe distance of a £400 a night luxury hotel in Cyprus. Nigel Farage, net worth £3.2 million, human value zero, uses his lies for years to incite racism and division. We need to answer them with facts amongst some of the poorest in the population against even poorer people in the population, trying to get them to punch downwards instead of punching upwards against those in power and united against the filthy rich. Hard facts against the lies about immigration. Overseas students contributed a net total of £37.4 billion to the UK economy last year. Immigrant workers in this country contributed a net £43 billion to the UK economy after they got on what they paid in compared to what they got out. Put it another way, you could say that the net contribution of immigrants from overseas has paid the total block grant from Westminster to the Scottish Government for a year. 35% of doctors, 28% of nurses are the staff in our health service. It would fall apart without us. And put another way, refugees and asylum seekers did not cause the financial crash of 2008, nor the 15 years of austerity that followed. Billionaire bankers, Tory governments, and now the Labour government bent on carry on Tory policies are the ones that caused that decimation for the population. Let's hit them with facts. And I've got a message to mainstream politicians, including Keir Starmer. Bush and Blair's so-called war on terror rained down terror of war on millions of people and drove them out of their homelands, making them refugees. That's why there's been a rise in immigration. Your continued support for war and for war profiteering adds to the waves of asylum seekers. Ruled by the planet-trashing fossil capitalists, which you support as politicians, as a system of capitalist production, adds to the waves of refugees from climate crisis, from floods, from mudslides and from certain death. And your years of austerity, combined with your barefaced lies about austerity and your barefaced lies about immigration being a problem, is what has caused the problems we're facing today, not the working class of any particular nationality. And I've got also a message for Keir Starmer and for his sidekick in Scotland, Anna Sauer. Watch my lips. When you continue where the Tories left off and attack pensioners and attack children's benefits and workers' jobs and public services and combine that with your propaganda about immigration being a problem that has to be tackled and that you're going to send even more people back through deportations, you're feeding the fires of fascism, racism and the filthy rich far-right demagogues. But there is another road that can be taken, and that's what I want to focus on to finish. The potential power of 600,000 trade unionists in Scotland and their families and communities and socialists needs to be mobilised to build for a decent life for all, regardless of colour, creed or country of birth. When the Tories and Labour bang on about stopping the small boats, the Scottish Socialist Party responds with stop the big boats, the very big boats, armed with nuclear weapons up the Clyde that could exterminate the population. And use the 220 billion wasted on Trident to instead invest in more hospitals, schools, homes and so on. Instead of punching downwards, punch upwards in a mass movement of a united working class to demand use of the 800 billion of personal wealth of the 350 richest people in this country, to build jobs, to build a society with a guaranteed minimum £15 minimum wage, 100,000 council houses and so on. I'm feeling sick, by the way. And comrades, to finish, we need to take the road of workers' unity and socialism, not the road of racism and fascism. I come from Ireland, where the imperialists divided the working class between Protestants and Catholics. Workers' unity and socialism is the answer. Thank you.
Thank you so much. And our next speaker, an important organisation that's been campaigning for so long on such an important issue that's represented here on the demonstration today. I'm proud to introduce Lynn Jimison from Scottish Campaign for Nuclear Disarmament. Please give a big warm welcome.
Hello, thank you, and I will be very brief. There's nothing more racist than nuclear weapons. To think that we have the right to threaten half the world with mass death, to threaten the destruction of entire ecosystems and starvation for the planet, because that's what would happen if just one of the UK's submarines set off its weapons. It would launch 40 bombs, 8 missiles, 5 bombs in each, 40 bombs enough to put enough muck into the atmosphere to cause a nuclear winter and starvation because of the crisis of the crops blotting out the sun across the whole of the Northern Hemisphere. There's everything about nuclear weapons is racist. The testing of them, the first British nuclear test was on October the 3rd, 1952 in Montebello Islands off Australia, harming a pristine natural environment and Aboriginal people. A series of tests in Australia blinded Aborigines, caused deaths, and was never acknowledged that harm. And then they went on to more tests in the Pacific. The uranium mining is done on indigenous people's land to their harm. Now that kind of attitude is what makes it possible for a country like Israel, a nuclear state, to commit genocide and to be tolerated for the nuclear powers, our own government and the United States, to remain relatively silent about that genocide, because every day their politicians rehearse themselves committing genocide through the use of nuclear weapons. And the Israeli nuclear weapons were gained with the help of South Africa when it was an apartheid state, and they've been tolerated. They've been outside every single arms treaty and tolerated because of their friendships with the United States and United Kingdom. So I'm telling you that actually most of the countries in the world don't want nuclear weapons. They have already signed up to a treaty on the prohibition of nuclear weapons. Most of the South African states, South American states, African states, our neighbour Ireland, our friends in New Zealand, but not the NATO countries. We now have a Labour government that is pro-nuclear. It's up to you to put pressure on them. That is a racist thing to be. Anti-racism, I support every speaker that has spoken, and I appeal to you to also remember, get rid of nuclear weapons, those ones that are just 40 miles from here. Help us get rid of them and stop this ridiculous squandering when it's not what the world wants. Scotland doesn't want nuclear weapons. Scotland wants refugees.
Thank you so much to all of our speakers, and just to let everyone know what we're going to do is we're going to stay in the square as we've said. We're going to put some music on. For those that are comfortable, please do join our other activists in drowning out the racists over there. For everyone else, you know, we've got stewards keeping everyone safe in this area as well. I just wanted to say some final things though. I'm a Jewish anti-racist activist. I'm proud to be stood alongside Muslim organisation, Christian organisation, people of all faiths and none, from people of all backgrounds in Glasgow, from people of all campaigns who are facing racism on these streets. The anti-Semitism at the heart of the far right uses a great replacement theory. We won't allow a division to be had between Muslims and Jewish people in our city. I thank the Palestinian protesters for joining us today. I thank the Jewish bloc for joining us today. And I just wanted to say that together in unity is what wins. It's not the police, it's not the council, it's not just the politicians, it's us. Every single one of us has a part to play. Every single one of us who stood here today. I'm sure there are many people who are frightened to come here. I'm sure there are many people who, like me, were watching the riots erupt in cities and towns across England and were scared and frightened and felt alone. We will not let anyone in our communities feel alone. We will not allow the racists over there who have been told can hear this PA to divide us. Just so you know, if you can hear to the racists and fascists over there, I think we've shown today what Glasgow really stands for. You're pathetic. You don't represent us. You don't represent the working class. You don't represent the beautiful diversity of Glasgow, and you never will. Every time you appear on our street, is about. Stand Up to Racism is a campaigning organisation. We work with as many people as possible. Every single person who opposes their racist file, their fascist file, we say join with us, work with us. Together we're strong, together we're safe. Thank you to the stewards from Stand Up to Racism, but also all the trade unions who helped today to keep everyone safe. Thank you to the people who organised the stage today. Thank you to every single person who took a flyer and shared it, who spoke to people about their fears and worries, and made sure for the people who are worried about turning up today that they see the photos and they know that they are safe in Glasgow. We will make sure of it. We will not allow any form of division here. We say it loud. We say it clear. Refugees are welcome here. Say it loud. Say it clear.